All right, let's talk about the Mack. It's the ultimate rise and fall story, but instead of a Wall Street tycoon, it's a guy trying to pimp his way through Oakland's underworld. And trust me, I'm from the Bay Area. The pimp game in Oakland is very strong. Let me just show you some home footage of what it's like to drive through Oakland. Yeah. There we go. The Mack is a movie that's basically capitalism in a fur coat. Goldie isn't just a pimp, he's a survivalist. The guy walks out of prison, takes one look at the system that buried him, and said, "Your rules. I'm gonna play the game my way."
A pimp is only as good as his product, see? And his product is women.
He's like the anti-hero of the American dream. Goldie isn't your average hustler. He's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Hey, they're gonna have to rewrite the Mackin game book, baby, you know, because I'm gonna be the new king. Huh? Well, I'm gonna be so cold-blooded, baby, that they're gonna have to change the name of the game. Yeah.
And Max Julian played the role to perfection. You could see where Snoop Dogg got a lot of his swagger from. You know, the tall, skinny, lanky player. Max Julian made that cool. And this movie's based on the real-life story of the Ward brothers. The Ward brothers ran things in Oakland in the 60s and 70s.
He was a hustler and a pimp with money and power. And with his brothers, he controlled the streets of Oakland, California. Talk of Frank Ward also reached behind prison walls. And in 1971, an inmate named Bobby Poole wrote a movie script on prison toilet paper that was loosely based on Frank's life. After getting the script to movie producers, they agreed to buy it, as long as Frank Ward was involved in the making of the film.
And actually, Frank Ward's in the movie, who passed away before it came out, so they gave him a tribute in the beginning.
He was one of those kind of people. He was an extraordinary human being, you know.
Frank could have been anything he wanted to be.
But Frank Ward became a pimp.
Well, you know how I am. I'm gonna run my thing, you know. It's all about the money game with me. I do mine from Frisco, Maine. You know how that is. Right on, you gonna put it right on.
And Goldie builds an empire out of nothing, using charm, brains, and sheer force of will. And yeah, it's illegal, but so is half the crap that makes the world spin. You think Wall Street plays fair? Please. Goldie's just a smaller scale Gordon Gekko, except he's got better taste in clothes. And the all-time legend goat of comedy, Richard Pryor, plays Slim, and he's the chaotic glue holding this whole thing together.
Be like the Muhammad Ali Fraser return bout. I know. Look, we're gonna have bitches from Hawaii. Hey, you ever seen a nigga with a bitch from Hawaii? Never.
The man's a walking disaster, but he's Goldie's disaster. And together they make a team that's impossible to look away from. Watching Pryor in this is like watching a car skidding on black ice. You know it's gonna crash, but you can't stop staring. And the scene with Pretty Tony is legendary.
Does everyone need an audition to get with you?
You ain't gotta go through all that shit.
Then I choose you.
Like I can quote that shit from beginning to end.
Hey, bitch, come here. Got your motherfucking man, come here.
And Pretty Tony's kind of a jabroni, you know what I mean? The dude's got the ego of a king, but the strategy of a toddler.
Hey, tree nigga, you ain't no pimp. You're a rest haven for hoes. You're a car thief, The one you got out there is probably hot as a firecracker right now.
Goldie dismantles him with a speech so cold, it feels like a death sentence. It's on some 48 Laws of Power, Art of War shit.
$35,000 and 7, right? Motherfucker, can you buy that?
That scene isn't about pimping, it's about dominance. And Goldie doesn't win, he annihilates. And Richard Pryor is such a gangster in that scene. When he pulls out that gun, that shit is legendary.
Go get it, Bob. Bring that bitch here.
Freeze, nigga, you wanna die?
And I always viewed Richard Pryor as like a goofy comedian. But when he's got that gun out, that shit is convincing. But what makes the Mack hit different is the undercurrent of sadness running through it. Goldie isn't some untouchable gangster. He's a guy trying to protect his family and carve out a slice of dignity in a world that doesn't give a shit about him. And that scene with his mom, that's the real gut punch.
I'm gonna make a lot of money. And I'm gonna buy you all sorts of nice things. And I'm gonna get you out of here. I'm gonna buy you all the things that I used to promise you.
Son, please come to church with me and pray with me.
No, Mom, I'm tired of praying in church. I mean, look, I spent 5 years in prison. You know, I mean, I gotta go out there and fight that man on the only way I know how.
He's not just hustling for himself, he's trying to give her a life she deserves, even if it means selling a piece of his soul.
Kind of silly, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, and you look so pretty with all that water in your face.
I've loved you for a long time, lady.
Oh, Goldie.
And Goldie doesn't go down in a blaze of glory. He doesn't die in the streets or rot in a jail cell. He walks away. It's not a triumph, it's a resignation. Kind of like in Superfly. In these movies, the bad guys don't lose. He looks at the empire he built, the enemies closing in, and decides it's not worth it. It's one of the bleakest happy endings I've ever seen. He survives, but at what cost? The Mack's a movie that makes you feel like you've been punched in the gut.
You really don't understand, do you? Hey, man, don't you realize in order for us to make this thing work, man, we've got to get rid of the pimps and the pushers and the prostitutes and then start all over again clean.
But it does it with style.
Nobody's pushing me anyway, okay? I mean, not you, not the cops, nobody, man.
It's a story about ambition and a system designed to crush it.
Oh, come on, John. Can't you see that we can't get rid of one without getting rid of the other? We got to come down on both of them at the same time.
Goldie's not just a pimp. He's a hustler, a strategist, and in his own way, a tragic hero. He's like the Michael Corleone of East Oakland. I love this movie, The Mack. I mean, 70s blaxploitation is some of my favorite movies. They're very gritty. They're just the filming style of it. I like the independent feel of it. These were like the original indie films before, you know, you had an independent renaissance in the 90s and 2000s. But these movies had a sense of ghetto expression. If you like movies like The Mack and Dolomite, and you're curious to see more of these kind of movies or read literature, I would recommend Donald Goines. His books are incredible. Horse Son is one of my all-time favorite books. I've read that shit at least 4 times. I can't get enough of it. If you want some gritty street stories, I would recommend those books and these movies because you'll dig them. But I hope you enjoyed this, and to everyone else, I hope you have a good night. Be safe, and God bless.